So these are to all the people that are really oblivious to what's going on in the world, that think that this is just some kind of like temporary thing that's happening as far as the COVID draconian measures are being put in place, all these social distancing and masks, and you think that Trump and you think that Q is going to save you coming up pretty soon, November 4th. You think this is all going to end November 4th. I'm telling you, you have another thing coming. Another thing coming. The thing with the masks and the testing for the COVID and all of the scare tactics are going on, and people complying, and people actually wearing the mask, and people are actually getting the tests, and then people are actually going like, oh my God, I'm so scared of the COVID. You are really giving permission to the state that you are so scared of the COVID-19 virus that you are okay with giving up not only your child to the state, but also your civil liberties, your civil rights, your right to privacy, your right to move around freely without some kind of contingency upon it. Oh yes, your fear is going to justify, and of course wearing the mask, of course, getting tested, of course, the fact that you submit to voluntarily testing yourself when you're sick. You are actually telling the state that please put forth all of those bills, all of those 1,271 bills that are right now pending in Congress, to basically please pass them through as soon as there is a justifiable reason. That's exactly what you guys are subscribing to. And so those of you that have kids that think, oh, this is going to end in November 4th and you're just going to ride it out until November 4th, you have no idea what's coming. Let me tell you what, the new, let's see, what is it? Trump is fast tracking warp speed. What is it? Operation Warp Speed, a new vaccine coming up in December. And there's going to be like, trials, third phase trials, experiments or whatever, what is it, volunteers to do the initial rollout of the vaccines, right? Like right now we have somebody here in Canton that's doing it in North Canton, and he went down to Columbus, is now up here. And so we already have the environment just really ripe for now another pandemic. And then of course they're already putting out there, their seeds are being dropped that the bubonic plague is hovering over there in Malaysia or wherever, in some other third world Asian country. So you guys are being primed for some major shit. And you think that this is going to end November 4th once the elections are done or whatever, and you're being totally distracted by the stupid mailboxes thing. You're being distracted by the elections. Oh, Biden and Kamala, who gives a fuck about those people? Anybody actually in the elections. It is such a distraction that you don't even know. I mean, probably most of you haven't even looked at congress.gov. Those are like, oh yeah, Trump is going to save us. Trump is going to save us. Trump is not going to fucking save you. You guys are so deluded when you think Trump is going to save you. It's really actually kind of laughable when you look at all those 1271 bills that are pending in Congress. You realize, you know how this works? There's, how a bill becomes law. And I had to learn a few things too, because I don't usually look at the congressional record. I don't look at the different legislative stuff because I'm like, whatever at this point. But now you're seeing things ramp up. And now, what's the point of knowing this if we can't do anything about it? Well, here's the thing. If you don't comply and give up your DNA, but now some of you are in jobs where, yeah, you've already tested for the COVID. Yeah, you've already submitted your DNA. You've already kind of put yourself in the system. So now it's time for you guys to actually be considerate of your friends. Okay? Be considerate of your friends, which means that if you come over to my house or if I go over to your house, you got to say that I stood outside. I didn't want to be anywhere near. I was in the car. Or actually, if you come into my house, I'm going to say, you know what? I didn't come outside. I'm going to find a way to say that I was not anywhere near you. Yeah, you may have come over to my house because you hung out with my husband, but I'm going to make sure, I'm going to figure out if you just want to come over or you're invited or I'm going over your house, you're going to my house, whatever it is. I'm going to find a way to say I was not hanging out with you. If you can't say that you weren't over at my house. And then if you do go over my house and you have your phone, you're going to be tracked. So I'm just going to say, you know what? I didn't leave the house. And I'm going to put it, and it's on my Facebook. I'm telling all my friends, anyone that I know that's probably going to submit their DNA to the state. They've already submitted their DNA to the state. They're already tied in with the state, and I know that the HB 666 is being passed. I can't be around. And if you come over my house for whatever reason, I'm staying inside, and I'm going to not admit that I won't, because I'm going to make sure that, hey, I can't help that they came over here, because if I don't want to be in the system, I don't want to have to take a stupid test. I mean, yeah, the vaccines may be contingent upon me getting a driver's license. That's fine. I'll deal with that. Okay, driver's license is driver's license. If I have to get a digital fucking certificate through whatever means to get a driver's license, that's fine. But for me to go get tested, and if I come up positive because somebody else, because yeah, inevitably when you're exposed in an environment where there's new viruses in the environment, you're going to end up getting fucking positive at some point, because you're trying to release the excess antibodies because you just were exposed. So I am not going to put myself in that position to where someone tests and they're all positive. Now they're going to go into my network and make me submit to a test or be quarantined. And I have a dog right here. See my dog? She needs me. My dog needs me. That's the thing that those of you guys that are very inconsiderate of your friends that think, oh, this is going to end in November 4th. I have a dog that needs my attention every single day. My husband is the major breadwinner. Okay? So, for him to be put in quarantine to get tested because you decided that you wanted to go get tested and be put in quarantine, and you gave up all your friends, you ratted them all out. Now you've put your friends in a bind, and your children could be potentially taken away. In Ohio here, I looked up the statutes of, how they deal with the children and coronavirus and pandemic, and separate facilities for quarantine if your residence or your situation is not optimal for the children's safety because you're so afraid of COVID. That's going to be a justification to take your kids for 14 days into a foster home. Do you realize that molestation and pedophilia happens in foster care? Do you realize CPS is probably the #1 agency which I didn't want to believe, but now I kind of see it because my mother was in CPS. She works in social services, and she did some stuff that was pretty horrific now that I think about the stuff that she was, And so I know from personal experience, and I denied it a couple, 6 or 7 months ago. Now, I know I'm not going to go after her and sue her for anything. No, there's no point in that. I'm not revisiting that, but I could substantiate that the foster care system is not a safe place for your child. And so if you want to give up your rights and you want to go and test for COVID and you want to rat your friends out when freaking contact tracers come to your house, and you're like, oh yeah, I was at my friend's house here, and you think that that's okay. I have a dog here. She has 2 owners. One owner that really predominantly takes care of her. Okay? You don't know what's coming. The 1,271 bills in the House already introduced should tell you everything, that there is some long-range planning. Those of you that believe in Q, you're deluded. I hate to be like one of those that are like calling you a Q-tard, but I'm not trying to be mean. But if you put your faith in somebody else other than yourself, especially you put your faith in Trump, come on. Come the fuck on. Seriously. There are so many psychological operations going on, it makes my head spin. It makes my head spin. And some of you are just not, you're so oblivious. And I realize that. So I know that I have oblivious people in my world that don't realize what's really going on. So once HB 666 gets passed, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this with you, I'm going to do that with you. I'm like, and someone asked me, were you around this person? I'm like, no, I wasn't. I was in the house. And you see on my Facebook, I said, anyone that I know is submitting any testing to the CDC, to the hospital, to any mobile unit, I am not going to hang out with you. I am not going to hang out with you, and I'm not going to hang out with you. I'm going to stay in my house, and you can go have your little dinners and have all your little stuff. Because at this point right now, the pretending like nothing exists, nothing crazy existing is over with. I'm ready now to hunker down. I'm ready to just kind of, do what I have to do. It really is every man for themselves. I mean, I love the fact that before community was great, but now your community can actually put you in hot water, can put you in situations that you're not prepared for. Okay. And I'm just like, I don't want people that I know who I love my friends here because they've helped us out. We've helped them out. But when it comes to politics, when it comes to your personal civil liberties, when it comes to your body, mind, and spirit, and there are marked differences in your belief systems, I'm going to have nothing to do with you when you believe in the hospital system, the vaccines, all the different, being afraid of the virus, submitting everything to the state to where you are basically captive to the state. That's where I draw the line. They say don't talk about politics, with your friends and family. And I'm not saying anything to anyone's face. They can see it on my Facebook because I know everyone's afraid to even mention it. And I know it. And so that's why I'm going to Facebook. So that way I don't confront anyone that I know personally, because I don't want to turn that into something uncomfortable. But mark my words, I'm going to let you know if anyone comes to you guys and says, oh yeah, who did you hang out with? And you were at my house, or I was at your house at one point, but that's not going to happen after HB 66 passes. But if you were ever at my house for whatever reason, even just to visit for a minute, I'm going to say you were not in my house. You were out in the garage because you were. And if you say you were in my house, I'm going to say you're lying. And I'm going to say that. No, I said on my Facebook, nobody's coming to my house that I know it has been exposed to COVID. And that means everybody in my world that I know has been exposed to COVID. So you ain't coming to my house. That's how it's going to work. Okay? That's how it's going to fucking work. Because this is the thing, the state really wants to have your friends and family turn you in. The state wants you to have all your friends in your community be all assimilating to all the different therapeutics, to the vaccines, to the testing, so they can get your DNA, which they are, and then also be under surveillance. Oh, but you already are, which is fine. I don't care being under surveillance, but not because to justify taking my DNA, to justify stopping me from going places because you're so afraid of a stupid virus. See, that's what has caused all of this, is because people are so uneducated about viruses, and they have so much fear because they have so many predispositions, and then all of their shortcomings are now impacting everyone around them. I mean, before it's like, okay, you have your own predispositions and disease and whatever, that's your own fault, whatever, fine. I have nothing to do with that. But now, not anymore. If your friends and family have diseases and have all these different, shortcomings and different predispositions, now that's going to affect you. And that's where I'm not okay with that. So I have a lot of people in my world that are sick, a lot. They've been exposed to COVID, that have predispositions that are going to end up being testing positive at some point. I'm over it. I'm done. I'm so done. And so it has to be that way, because it's my dog's survival and my survival. It's every man for himself. And you do what you have to do to protect yourself. Because now, yes, it's about your survival. All right, good luck. Bye.